ladies. This one deals with working a long time. And being female and probably being a little older than most, so we're going to talk about ages. I was talking to my brother yesterday. We tried to figure out what this award is for, and politely said that it was that you have worked hard a long, long time. And that's our conclusion on that. It is my pleasure to introduce a nice Christian lady. I am prejudiced because she is my mother. But let me tell you a little bit about her. First, I was told I had 2 minutes, and anybody here that knows Bobbie, you can't get a word in 2 minutes. There's no way. Also, my wife told me, remember, this is a awards banquet, not a roast. So, I'm being nice. I'm being nice. Like our first speaker said, she was born here in Magnolia. Or right down the road, out on Warwick Springs Road, I believe. 1936 to Earl and Madge Foster. She graduated from Magnolia High School, attended SAU. I'm not sure what it was called then. Southern State. Then she married Ralph Jennings. Now this is the part where her achievement kicks in. After she was married. And so after a short stint in the Army, I believe, for the next 40 plus years, they ran businesses. They had, I believe it was Jennings Service Center to start with, Jennings Trading Post, Jennings Auction Service. And they did this for the next plus 40 years here in Magnolia. My mom, she was in charge of bookkeeping, marketing, retail sales, just about anything besides the auctioning. And that's what my dad did. And also during this time, I forgot to mention she had 4 children. So, what I always accused them of having more auction workers. But if you ever went to the auction, it was really a family affair, and my mom, she was very proud of that fact, and we all worked at the auction. I remember a lot of things about the auction and her and Ralph working the auctions, and all of y'all are probably, if you went to one, you're familiar with it. But some of the things that I remember, a few things that seemed a little odd. One were Tuesday nights. On Tuesday night, excuse me, but that was bulletin night. And every Tuesday night they sent out hand-addressed thousands or hundreds of bulletins, sale advertisements. And so after dinner, or what we called supper, my mom, sisters, my grandmother, other ladies would sit around and address these envelopes. First, let me back up a little bit about dinner. And she'll admit this, she has a lot of talents, but cooking isn't one of them. She had 2 dishes, spaghetti, and in 1969 he called that Italian spaghetti. And banana pudding. And that's what we usually had. So after that, they addressed these hundreds and hundreds of bulletins, advertisements for the auctions. That's one thing I remember. Another thing I remember is that all the people that came to the auctions, they came from everywhere, the architects and further off from other states, and they came back every week. And not only were they customers, she became friends with these people. And so she was networking in that sense before we even knew what networking was. And long-lasting friendships with all the customers that they had. Last thing I remember that seems trivial trivial but stands out is that at lunchtime, if a couple owns a business and runs a business, they never get to eat lunch together. My dad would eat lunch, he'd leave the store and come back, and then my mom would come home and eat lunch. And so for 40 years, they never got to eat lunch together. They swapped this out. Luckily, my mom's best friend, Tennessee Lewis, was usually there to cook the lunch. And so that's the third thing I remember. Now, she raised 4 kids, as I mentioned, and by the way, I'd like to thank Kathy, Jimmy, Karen for allowing me to have this honor to present this. As being the 4th child, I was the 4th one asked. So I caught that. And so, thank y'all. Now, while I was the youngest, and she already had 6 or 7 years experience of raising kids, I remember a lot that she did raising her children. There's no way I could count all the boys club baseball games and everything she attended, even working the old concession stand at the boys club, going to PTA meetings, dance recitals for my sister, band concerts, going to high school events, carrying cheerleaders to out-of-town football games, you name it. List goes on and on. And during the last 20 years, she's repeated this with grandkids. So she never slowed down. She comes to everything. She's never missed an event and has always been there. She's been there for other people too, not just her family. She's had friends that she's been there for. One of her old friends was Mary Kay Wire, and some of y'all remember Mary Kay. And often you'd hear my mom on the radio, KBMA, filling in for Mary. Mary Kay had a radio show. And so if Mary Kay was sick or out of town, Bobbie would fill in, sometimes write her newspaper column for her, whenever Mary Kay needed her. You never knew where you were going to see her at. Now, in 1999, my father passed away, and that was my mom's partner. Her husband, but mainly her business partner. Did that cause her to stop? Of course not. She geared up and caught her second wind, and even after heart surgery a couple of years ago, she still hasn't slowed down. So, as most of you know, my mom loves antiques. Better yet, she likes selling antiques. So, she's very knowledgeable about antiques, and in some areas is truly an expert about antiques. She does appraisals and things of that nature, and I've heard reports that she has some type of antiques roadshow at women's clubs sometimes, and does some things like that. Now, while she doesn't conduct auctions any longer, she invented something back several years ago, what she calls a tag sale. And so she goes around having these sales. I've lost count of the number of tag sales that she's conducted. She told me the other night she has one scheduled. And just ask her, and believe me, she'll tell you about it. It's coming up. And or give you her address, and she'll send you a bulletin. Hand address, no computer, nothing like that. So that's what she's doing now. She hasn't quit and hasn't even slowed down. She's still the bookkeeper. She's in charge of marketing. She's in charge of sales. She has over 50 years experience at this job. Bobbie's a good Christian. She's a mother, grandmother, and she's truly an original business entrepreneur. I'd like to introduce to you the 2014 South Arkansas Women's Network Lifetime Achievement Award recipient, Bobbie Jennings.
I won't get even. lady of the group, I'll tell you a little bit of how things went wrong. 2 or 3 days ago, I wrote this lovely speech, and I thought I was real good writing this speech. Even practiced it yesterday with my friend Tennessee at this house that we're starting to work on. She thought it was good, but maybe a little too long. Anyway, I got my purse out this morning and went to get the speech so I could tweak it a little bit. I lost it. I never found it. So I'm tweaking it today. And most of what was in that speech I lost is in this program, printed in the program tonight. So I would have been double telling anyway, so I'm going to just leave all those accomplishments and things alone and just talk to you a little bit. You know, a Lifetime Achievement Award, lifetime, that indicates a lot of years. Am I in the golden years of my life? Yes. Am I old? Well, at 78, I may be old in years, but I'm not in spirit. I'm very young at heart. You see, I think age is an attitude. So this determines your quality of life, how you look at things. So I choose the attitudes of love, faith, caring, sharing, serving, and hoping. These attributes determine how you spend these golden years. I almost didn't accept this award because I felt so unworthy. And everybody said, you raised 4 children. You were in business 50 years. What more do you think you need to do? So I accepted this honor and this recognition today, and I'm very, very appreciative. The 2 things that helped me make up my mind if I should receive this award is motherhood and owning and operating a business for over 45 years. I'm the mother of 4 children, Kathy, Jimmy, Karen, and Steve. 4 within 7 years. That's like having 2 sets of twins. And I raised them on the T&E method. Trial and error. You see, I was an only child. And I didn't know much about raising children. That was for a big family. So the trial and error, if I were to tell you some of the errors, you would not maybe want to give me this award. One that I'll tell you about, because I'm safe now, but this happened about 50 years ago. Our yard seemed to attract all the neighborhood children from streets around. But there's a little boy lived next door, probably 4 at the most. His mother worked nights, so she slept days. 4 grandsons. And you know, Ralph and I were a team. Besides, we didn't just work ourselves to death. We spent time with the children. We took them to church. We went to all the baseball, football games. I don't think I missed hardly a one, in all the way through the boys club and Magnolia High School. But the same token, I don't think he missed a piano recital or a dance recital. Now, grant you, he may have sat in the back seat or stood in the doorway. And when our children did their performances and through, he'd get up and leave. But he was there. And they always knew that he and I were there for them through thick or thin and whatever. And it's just a joy to see the grown now, responsible citizens here in Magnolia. I want to talk to, I was going to tell you about PTA. They don't even have PTA anymore. It was Parents Teachers Organization. Now it's PIE, Parents and Education, I think. But anyway, grades 1 through 6, all those 6th grades used to be at Eastside. You may have forgotten that. It's now just grades 3, then they move on to Central. But grades 1 through 6 were Eastside. All 4 of my kids at one time were in that one school together. And I was in PTA. I thought I'd never get out of PTA. But anyway, one night, you know, when they called the teacher's name, if you had a child in the room, you had to stand up. So I stood 4 times. The lady sitting behind me punched me on the shoulder. She said, "How many children do you have?" So I earned that lifetime PTA then. Now, to tell you a little bit about our business, they used to have cattle livestock auctions in Magnolia. They don't anymore, but there used to be literally livestock auctions. So that's out. Then they would have, people would come into Magnolia and rent the JC building or a building out at the fairground, and they'd have tool sales or some other sale. But we were the first people to ever establish an auction house, especially an antique auction house. We planned it, we mapped it out, we built it, and we maintained it. We finally incorporated it and conducted regular auctions. There for a while, every Saturday night, then finally 2 a month, and finally just 1 a month. But we had American antique haulers that hauled loads into us from Iowa, Michigan, Pennsylvania, New York State. And the people came for a radius of probably about 200 miles. And during these peak years, we saw several shops right here in Magnolia, several shops and malls open because these antique shops had access to buy merchandise easily through our auctions. Over the years, we also saw 5 or maybe 6 people become auctioneers from affiliation with our auctions. Some went to, some were self-taught, some went to auctioneer school. So we contributed to Magnolia in the way of business. And although I didn't get a college degree in those areas, I figure all those years added up to, like my son said, marketing and customer service relations and all those other things that I was involved in. How did we mix the two, parenthood and business? How did we mesh those two? Well, we raised our children in the auction. Literally raised them up in the auctions. Kathy was about 12 and a half when we started. And she started off writing auction tickets. That's pretty difficult. That's whatever the auctioneer says, you're taking it all down. Who bought it, how much, description of it. So she started that. I think she was about 12 and a half. She was the oldest. And Jimmy probably had just turned 11. And he was up front as the ring man, and he caught bids. Bruce mentioned auctions, so I have to tell you something on him. I can't remember if it was your son or daughter, but one of your children, this was when they were small, was sitting in your lap. Well, ring men are trained to watch the movement of hands to catch bids. Well, Bruce was holding his big little boy, and that little boy saw other people bidding, so he thought, why can't I? So Bruce didn't see But he was just 5 when we started. And he would stand in the concession stand for a while. But about 7:30, I'd fold a quilt up in about 4 layers and put it on the floor, right by my feet, by my cashier's stand. He'd come and lay up on that quilt and go to sleep the rest of the night. But he was just 5. Later, he decided he wanted to be an auctioneer like his daddy. Well, he was a little bitty thing with a GI haircut, cute as it could be. And so Ralph stood him up on some Coke boxes in front of the microphone, and people thought that was the cutest thing, so they'd bring things to give him if he just auctioned them. It might be a ballpoint pen, or it could be a Coke advertising bottle or something, but they gave it to him, and he was going to get the money for it. Well, he was so cute. All he would need to do was say, dollar, 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 you know. People would bid like crazy, way more than the thing was worth, and he'd get to keep the money. Well, this went on for several sales, and he was making in the money. His mother didn't have to work, so we had to put a stop to that. That ended his auction. But years ago, I think it was a paper in Shreveport. I think it was called the Shreveport Journal. Did a story about our whole family. It was on the magazine on Sunday. And the title of the story was, "The Family That Works Together Stays Together."